Why in the world is Tennessee's defense dragging at the end, John? Jackson Moy couldn't get off the field. And is that more of a coaching thing that Tennessee didn't bring pressure, or do we get oversold on they go 12 deep? Because I'm just here to tell you that most teams don't really go 12 deep anywhere. They all say that and they all want to. But at the end of the day, they go 12 deep against Kent State. They don't go 12 deep against the University of Georgia.
Tennessee did go 12 deep on the defensive front against Oklahoma.
Okay. That's fair.
It did. So, I mean, we've been hearing that, and you could Adam Sparks, who covers the Tennessee football beat for us at the News Sentinel, Adam broke it down, all the snaps. I mean, these guys weren't – and this was post-Oklahoma. So it wasn't just for those runaway games. I was mystified by that. I mean, it was like they needed to call an Uber to get them to, hey, need an Uber driver to get me off the field, just from the field to the sidelines. Be a short trip. Georgia gets the ball with 8:38 to go. Still, the game's still within reach. Pinned them down inside their 10-yard line, make a stop, get the ball back at midfield. The game's right there for you still with all that's gone wrong. And Georgia proceeds to drive the length of the field, down after down, play after play. And you're right. Tennessee looked exhausted. How could it be exhausted? For one thing, it was never getting near the quarterback. So it wasn't as though there was this awesome rush at wearing these big guys out. And it's not like Carson Beck was scrambling around back there, three steps and throw pretty much. That was it. So why in the world were they so tired? It wasn't humid and hot out there, I don't think. It was – I couldn't understand it. I mean, it just looked done. And that was with the game on the line, the college football playoff berth on the line. I mean, the adrenaline should have been pumping. It wasn't. That was one of the strangest elements of that game, is how Georgia just took the ball and drove down the field and ate up the clock and then tacked on another score. And then you have a 2-touchdown game. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe they didn't substitute as much as they did in other games. Maybe these guys weren't conditioned to play more snaps. I don't know.
Caleb, that might speak to your point of talent. Have we over? I go back to what John says. They did play a lot of guys against Oklahoma, but clearly there's a reason somebody's on the first string and somebody's on the second string. The second string and third string guys aren't as good. Caleb, brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga's community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive, brakes, alignments, oil changes, and more. Go to qualitytirepros.com. Caleb.
Well, guys, if we're and I don't know if we're counting Leos and edge rushers, but if we are, I mean, Tennessee still had 11 defensive linemen play at least 19 snaps against Georgia over the weekend. So they still went pretty deep. I'm with John. I can't explain it either. I've only got maybe one plausible theory, maybe two. I don't know. One, there is the obvious, cliche story that you hear with teams sometimes. Did the defensive line go out the night before? Athens is a nice town. Did a bunch of them decide to go out and throw down a few and they weren't fully, there for that? I mean, like Donovan McNabb getting hung over.
Surely not. Surely Mike Griffith and I haven't been in a place in Dallas where a group of defensive linemen did that before.
Y'all do know that Donovan McNabb got wasted the night before the Super Bowl and was hung over in the Super Bowl.
I don't think they got.
Yeah, but he was trying to settle his nerves.
Oh, okay. That's and that's why T.O. I think many people sided with T.O. against Donovan McNabb, is because T.O. came back on a broken leg. That's a different story. But anyways, could they have gone out and had a few brewskis? That's one possibility. The other is, and this is a big one. We talk about this all the time, guys. Tennessee practices in the morning. Dave, you bring this up. They practice early in the morning. It's not like do we think the grind of the season combined with practicing in the morning finally caught up with them in just another night game in November?
Well, you asked kind of two questions. John, I will say this. As soon as the season's over, Tennessee is an afternoon practice team, because we have seen by ESPN and ABC that the Peach game is going to be in the evening. So if you want to be in that Peach game, then you need to practice in the afternoon. That morning stuff's done. It's time for all those reporters to get back to real work. I mean, it's time for some 12-hour days. These guys working 9 to 5 jobs over there. They need a dose of reality.
I think you guys are trying really, really hard to explain it, but it's still inexplicable to me how that happened. Because I go back to the Oklahoma game when Tennessee played a lot of players and I mean, Tennessee was bringing in guys. I had to check the numbers. I maybe know the numbers of the first 2 front fours, but not the third one. I was checking who is this guy? What number is that? And I mean, Tennessee's defense looked ferocious. I know Oklahoma had all kinds of offensive limitations, but just the energy with which those guys played. And that kind of brings up another point to me. James Pierce is supposed to be a high draft choice, very high.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think in a game like this, and I know that he gets maybe more attention than anybody else on the defensive front, but I think back to other really good pass rushers Tennessee's had, not just Tennessee, but in the SEC. Derek Barnett, certainly at Tennessee. David Pollock at Georgia. I mean, Pollock would always be at his best against the best teams. I mean, to me, this was a kind of game where you think maybe James Pierce will make a play. We talk about that with the quarterbacks in big games. Like, this is where he makes the decisive play. This is where he comes through. Didn't see that from James Pierce. Didn't see much at all from him.
No,
Sorry, just one more explanation before we go. I would say that maybe it's also possible. As Dave brought up aptly, that they ran a lot of 12 personnel and extra blocker zone. And look, guys, if you can look at the PFF grades, the weak link for Tennessee in this game was the linebackers that were always out of position. Jeremiah Thielander is the feature middle linebacker and had just 1 tackle in the game. I think that put even more pressure on the defensive line, and constantly fighting against 12 personnel maybe just wore them down in the end without any help from the linebackers.
John, I think that's more likely than Caleb's early assertion that the entire team was on crystal meth.
Are you kidding? They play so energetic if they were on crystal meth. That wouldn't be the one. Yeah, they'd still be playing. They'd hitting blocking dummies in Athens.
Yeah, I had a high school buddy who played college football, and he said that there was a run of cocaine that went through the locker room. And I said, so how did it affect your play? Because I was stunned that they did it during games. And he said, we were great in the first quarter and great in the third quarter, but we were awful in the second and fourth quarter.
I mean, during the Civil War, heroin was a medical breakthrough at the time. It helped men and their soldiers be more willing to fight and fight through some pain.
So are you guys saying that, I mean, the team should be on drugs, the defense needs to be on drugs? Is that what you're saying?
No, I won't say this, though. I remember a coach told me one time, I'm not going to say who it was. I'm going to say, well, I mean, you say that you suspend them because of the drug tests. And I said, but that's a school thing. He goes, damn it, Dave. He goes, who do you think gives them the drug tests? In other words, I control who passes and who fails. And I had a player tell me, I passed 42 drug tests, or failed 42 drug tests, but I still played because I was good. And my teammate got thrown out, or my roommate got thrown off the team because he was no good after failing 1. He was a very good running back at the time. I'm not going to give away who that was. That's kind of the way things go with drugs. All right, football IQ. I don't think they were drunk the night before, just for the record.
John Adams never got backlash from a coach for writing an article saying the coach gets preferential treatment over who he kicks off the team and who he doesn't. Yeah, I remember that column, John.
Very good stuff.